Barbeau pled no contest and was convicted of killing his great-grandmother. He and his friend bludgeoned Barbara Olson to death with a hatchet and hammer. The prosecutor says the boy stole $150 and used the cash to buy pizza and pot.
Never care about rehabilitation. This one.
You killed your mother for weed and Domino's pizza money? What it is, guys? It's your boy Blastphamoushd, and today we are here to watch more crazy reactions from convicts who deservingly got life in prison and then had the nerve to be mad at the people giving them the life sentence like they were the one who made the mistake. If you guys want to watch part 1 of this, the link is in the description down below. Also in the link down below is a link to this original video. It's about top 5 unknown. Let go.
For this first clip, the case was kept relatively private, so there isn't a whole lot of information surrounding it. However, a 19-year-old named Anthony Rodriguez was sentenced to 30 years in prison back in 2013. His sentence was given after he was found guilty of sexual assault of a deaf woman from Bakersfield. He nearly got away with the crime too, though a trace of his DNA was found at the crime scene.
Wait, what? I gotta see that. What?
Was sentenced to 30 years in prison back in 2013. His sentence was given after he was found guilty of sexual assault of a deaf woman from Bakersfield. He nearly got away with the crime.
Look, you know what? I'ma fix sex for every dude out there who's not getting any right now. Go on Tinder, and you know the chick that you had was like, oh God, nah, she's not attractive. Pick that girl. Start talking to that chick. She will give it up. Just go for chicks that you know are like 4 numbers below you. She won't say no. Oh man, that's true. Don't ask me why I know that.
2, though a trace of his DNA was found at the crime scene, definitively tying him to the assault. Take a look at his reaction as his sentencing was read.
Yep.
It was the outburst that shocked the courtroom.
I want to hear this. I want to see this. I want to see this.
Anthony Rodriguez had just turned 18 and was on probation when he was arrested for sexually assaulting a 25-year-old woman at MLK Park.
I think that it was.
At a park? Word?
As a crime of opportunity. I truly think that she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
The victim was taken 105 feet, dragged from outside the park and into the MLK Park men's bathroom where she was assaulted.
One of the really more poignant moments during the trial was that she signed no. She was signing no to him when he was sexually assaulting her.
You give a young kid like that 30 years to life, chances are you're not going to see that kid again.
With tears in his eyes, Rodriguez yelled profanity, calling the ruling unfair.
That's all you do is don't be away like that. Mr. Rodriguez.
You raped a deaf woman.
His previous arrest for acts of violence, but nothing sexual. His
You
family
raped a
feels
deaf
his
woman,
sentence
man.
was a bit extreme.
He don't deserve life. He don't. There's something.
It's better be the mama.
I believe there's something wrong that they shouldn't have gave him this. There's something wrong that, you know, about things they didn't bring out in court.
A man from Michigan recently broke down in court after being told he'd be sent to prison for life without the possibility of parole. This is due to the fact that he abused his girlfriend's 4-year-old son to death, essentially crushing him with his bare hands. The man had previously been found guilty of numerous drug and gun charges, but this is the first one to ever land him in federal prison. Take a look at a clip from his emotional outburst while in court.
All the details of the case. You really just want to talk with your attorney?
The man accused of abusing a 4-year-old boy, a boy who died, broke down as he was charged with murder.
I bet.
Ellis Nelson Ortiz Nieves is now being held in the Kent County Jail without bond.
So the first count is called felony murder, life without parole.
The 25-year-old suspect broke down when the charges against him.
You know what I mean? It's hard to laugh at a dude who's crying because his life is over. But then again, you kind of killed a 4-year-old, man.
And were outlined by a judge today.
They're alleging you murdered one Giovanni Miajes.
Prison.
It is called felony murder.
You didn't do it?
It is a felony.
His adult record includes drugs and gun charges, but he has a juvenile record that goes back 13 years before he even became a teenager. He also has charges of car theft, shoplifting, assault with a weapon, receiving and concealing stolen goods. At the mobile home near Kentwood where Giovanni died, there were numerous stops by Kent County investigators and CPS over the past 4 years. Yesterday, the father of Giovanni's half-siblings told us he had contacted authorities.
Who did you call?
I've called the cops, have been involved, CPS multiple times have been involved, the school was involved.
But nothing rose to the level where courts would step in and remove the children.
That's a damn shame. That's a damn shame. Well, at least the dude can't do that to nobody else. Yeah, I mean, they gonna have their way with him in prison. Give it about a good 3 months. Homie gonna be walking around wearing one of them mop wigs and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, like, holding some other dude's belt because that's his B-hatch now.
In 2013, a young man was given a life sentence without parole after he was found guilty of taking the life of an older woman, 78-year-old Barbara Olson. Barbara was his great-grandmother who lost her life after being bludgeoned with a hammer and hatchet. His motive behind his actions remains a bit unclear, but take a look at his courtroom response after hearing the verdict.
Instead of starting his freshman year in high school, 14-year-old Antonio Barbeau will go to prison. He showed varying emotions in court, at times wiping tears from his face. Then Barbeau smirked and shook his head when the prosecutor spoke. He read only a few words from his own statement.
There's a lot going around said by the news, DA, and many other people, that I'm a cold, heartless, careless killer.
No, you think? You kind of murdered your own great-grandmother.
That's not true.
Barbeau pled no contest and was convicted of killing his great-grandmother. He and his friend bludgeoned Barbara Olson to death with a hatchet and hammer. The prosecutor says the boy stole $150 and used the cash to buy pizza and pot.
Never care about rehabilitation this one.
You killed your mother for weed and Domino's pizza money? Hot damn! At least get California Pizza Kitchen. Jeez!
I want to put them away so they can't, they understand the seriousness of the crime.
Barbeau will almost certainly start his prison sentence at the Department of Corrections, Lincoln Hills School for Boys, north of Wausau.
Has this crime indeed divided your family?
Yep, sure has. It sure has. Big time.
A man from Castle Rock was recently sentenced to 160 years in prison after leading police on a 60-mile car chase that resulted in the injury of a state trooper. During the sentencing, audio recordings were played that showed that the man, Ryan Stone, showed no remorse for his actions and was actually heard bragging about them, displaying complete disregard for his injured victim. In all, he was found guilty of 18 separate charges, including first-degree assault and even child abuse. Check out a clip from his sentencing.
A high-speed chase through 5 Metro Denver counties. At times, cars were ditched and drivers thrown out the door. At one point...
Oh, he has Grand Theft Auto 5. 100%. He's doing way better than I usually do with Grand Theft Auto 5. I'll tell you that. Look at him get it.
A 4-month-old boy was strapped in a back seat.
No. Oh, that's terrifying. Wait, he had a kid in the back seat?
My lawyer told me I made the news in the UK and Australia.
For the first time since last year's chase, we are seeing a jailhouse conversation. Driver Ryan Stone hoped to profit from his internet fame after the video was posted online.
You get paid by YouTube. So, Channel 7 News, I believe, is going to be the one that gets paid for that. Well, I'm going to contact Channel 7 News.
During his sentencing...
You did this for money?
In court, Stone made an apology, yet wouldn't take responsibility, blaming his escapade on drugs. He asked the judge to give him a break.
I pray you leave me time to start a family of my own. With my beautiful wife.
That didn't happen. Stone was sentenced to 160 years in prison.
Those angels up there actually pulled me out of the way.
Trooper Bellum and he almost died. Stone struck him while he was trying to throw out stop sticks.
I proudly wear this badge, and I want to continue to be able to do so, to be able to return to full active duty in the next couple of months.
A crime spree caught from the sky, ending with a career criminal going nowhere but prison.
This guy is a menace, and he is gone from us now, and we are better for it. Number
1. A young man was convicted of taking the life of a film student, and while attending his sentencing had to be tackled to the ground, pepper sprayed, and restrained after hearing he would receive life in prison without parole. In his outburst, he began screaming "I hate you" to the members of the courtroom, further displaying what the judge called a complete lack of impulse control. Take a look at the terrifying footage from the courtroom.
21-year-old UWM student Nathan Potter was shot to death in a robbery last July as he walked to his River West apartment after a night out. He wasn't carrying any money.
Judge, there's nothing that can be said to bring back our Nathan. But your sentence can ensure that Shondell does not have the opportunity as a free man to inflict pain like this again. Is there such thing as pure evil? We think so.
At his sentencing today, 19-year-old Shondell Jackson was facing a mandatory life term for pulling the trigger, but hoped for a chance at parole, a hope dashed by Judge Rebecca Dallek, who gave him life without parole, sparking the outburst.
You murder somebody and they want parole? Yep, there it is. There it is.
It all started when Jackson turned towards the Potter family, something deputies were watching for. At the sentencing today, prosecutors played this 12 News video of Jackson's February conviction, when Jackson gestured to the Potter family several times, cursed at them, and as he was let out of court, our camera caught him smiling at the victim's family.
We see how evil Shondell is in court, looking at us, swearing at us, and smiling.
The judge said Jackson's past behavior in court influenced his getting the maximum sentence. Jackson's angry family members today shouted support to him as he was led away, and one screamed at Potter's family as she left the courtroom.
Our little girl.
It's hard to hold in laughter when someone is yelling at the victim's family. Y'all ain't shit! Our son was murdered by your son! How did we do? How is this our fault?
I was afraid. She was afraid that he was going to try and kill one of us. She was afraid.
You know, I hope that as he spends the rest of his life in jail, that he comes to terms with it and does value human life, and that there is some redemption for him at some point. But that's totally up to him. And for his family to say to us, "We hate you," what's that all about? We didn't do a thing to him.
Don't do high-speed chases and run over policemen. Yeah, I mean, it usually just lands you in prison. Make sure to comment, like, and don't subscribe.